This message is for her. The woman who wakes up in the middle of the night and reaches for someone who isn't there anymore. The woman who still sets 2 cups on the table out of habit, then quietly puts one back. The woman who smiles in public, but cries in the shower where no one can hear. If that's you, I need you to stay with me, because what I'm about to share isn't advice. It's not a list of steps. It's not someone telling you to move on, or be strong, or look on the bright side. This is a conversation for the woman who is surviving something that feels unsurvivable. And I want you to know, before we go any further, you are not alone in this. There is a silence that only you understand. It's not just the absence of sound, it's the absence of presence. The house feels different now. The air feels heavier. The evenings stretch longer than they used to. You find yourself talking out loud sometimes, just to hear a voice. Then you stop, because you realize no one is listening. The bed feels too big. The decisions feel too heavy. The future feels too uncertain. You go to the grocery store and realize you don't know what to buy anymore. The things you used to get were for both of you. Now it's just you. And somehow, that simple task feels impossible. The world keeps moving as if nothing happened. People go to work, traffic flows, the sun rises and sets, and you're supposed to just keep going. But no one told you how. No one gave you a manual for this. No one prepared you for the weight of carrying a life that was built for 2, now carried by 1. Here's what I need you to understand. What you're feeling right now, the confusion, the heaviness, the strange mix of grief and guilt and fear, that's not weakness, that's love. You feel this deeply because you love deeply, and there is no shortcut through that. There is no switch you can flip to make it stop hurting. There is only the slow, sacred work of learning how to carry it differently. Not forget. Never forget, but carry it in a way that doesn't crush you. Now, let me be honest about something. Loss comes in different forms, and each form carries its own kind of pain. Maybe you lost him to death, a sudden goodbye you never saw coming, or a long illness that gave you time to prepare, but nothing could truly prepare you. Maybe you lost him to distance, a relationship that slowly faded until one day it was gone, a love that couldn't survive the weight of life. Maybe you lost him to betrayal, the crushing discovery that the person you trusted wasn't who you thought they were, the death of a future you believed in. Maybe you lost him to his own choices, an addiction, a decision, something that took him away even while he was still standing in front of you. Each of these losses is different, but they share something in common. The woman left behind must rebuild, regardless of how she got here, is less than #. 5# is greater than, and here's something else they share. No one truly understands unless they've been through it. People try. They offer words. They say things like, "Time heals all wounds," or "Everything happens for a reason," or "You're so strong." And you smile, you nod, because what else can you do? But inside, you know they don't get it. They can't feel the weight of waking up to an empty side of the bed. They can't understand how exhausting it is to answer, "How are you?" when the honest answer would take hours. So you carry it quietly, like so many women do. But I want you to know, even if no one around you fully understands, this message does. And that's what we're talking about today. Not the story of how you lost him, but the story of how you find yourself. There's a lie that many women carry. A lie that gets whispered by society, by culture, by well-meaning people who don't know any better. The lie is this: a woman without a partner is incomplete. That a woman alone is somehow less than, that her value is tied to someone standing beside her, that her identity is defined by who she belongs to. You've probably heard versions of this your whole life. When are you getting married? When are you finding someone? You need a man to help you. You shouldn't be alone. What will people think? And somewhere along the way, you may have started to believe it, not consciously, not in words you'd say out loud, but in the quiet fear that lives underneath everything, the fear that whispers, what if I'm not enough on my own? I need you to hear me clearly. That fear is a lie. You are not half of something. You are not a missing piece waiting to be completed. You are a whole woman standing in a painful season, learning how to remember that. Think about this. Before you met him, you existed. You had dreams. You had strength. You had a life. The relationship didn't create you. It added to you. It shaped you in certain ways. It gave you experiences and memories and growth. But the core of who you are, that was always yours. The love you gave him, that came from inside you. The patience you showed, that was your patience. The care you offered, that was your heart. Those things didn't come from him. They came through you, and they're still here. Buried? Maybe. Tired? Maybe. Hidden under grief? Maybe. But still here. The woman who loved so deeply, who built a life, who held things together in ways no one even saw. She didn't disappear. She's just learning how to find herself again. If you're feeling this right now, if something in you is saying, yes, this is exactly where I am, I want you to drop a heart in the comments. Just a simple heart. Let me know you're here. You don't have to explain anything. Just let yourself be seen. Now, here's where things start to shift. There's something that happens to a woman when she walks through this kind of pain, not around it, through it. At first, it feels like destruction, like everything you knew is being torn apart. But slowly, if you let it, something else begins. Transformation. I've seen it happen. I've watched women who thought they couldn't survive a single day rebuild entire lives from the ashes. Not because they were special, not because they were stronger than others, but because they made a quiet decision, a decision that no one else saw. The decision to keep going, one breath at a time. Let me tell you something about solitude. The world treats it like a punishment, like something to escape, like a problem to solve as quickly as possible. But that's not what solitude is. Solitude is not the absence of love. It's the presence of space. Space to grieve without performing. Space to think without explaining. Space to discover who you are when no one else is defining you. Think about it this way. When your phone battery dies, what do? You plug it in, you let it charge, but while it's charging, you don't keep using it. You give it time to fill back up. Your solitude is like that charging time. You're not broken, you're not empty, you're recharging. You're gathering strength that you didn't even know you needed. And when you come back, you won't be the same. You'll be clearer, stronger, more grounded. A seed doesn't grow in the spotlight. It grows in darkness, in silence, underground where no one can see. And one day, when the time is right, it breaks through the surface. Not because the darkness was easy, but because the darkness was necessary. Your solitude is not your enemy. It's your cocoon. And inside that cocoon, something is happening. Something you can't see yet. Something you might not even feel yet, but it's happening. Here's what I've noticed about women who walk through this. At first, they think they've lost everything. Their partner, their future, their identity, their purpose. But as time passes, something unexpected begins to emerge. They start to discover parts of themselves they had forgotten. Dreams they had put aside because there wasn't space for them. Interests they had abandoned because other things took priority. Strengths they never knew they had because they were never tested. One woman told me, "I hadn't painted in 15 years. I used to love it, but life got busy. After he left, I picked up a brush one day just to feel something. Now I paint every morning before the sun comes up. It's become my peace." Another said, "I realized I had spent years asking him what he wanted for dinner. One day I stood in the kitchen and asked myself, what do I want? I didn't even know how to answer, but I started learning." Another said, "I was so afraid of being alone. But after 6 months, I realized I wasn't lonely anymore. I was just with myself. And that felt different than I expected." Slowly, the woman who thought she was disappearing starts to realize she was actually appearing for the first time in years. Maybe for the first time ever. She starts making decisions on her own. And realizing she's capable, she starts solving problems on her own. And realizing she's strong, she starts sitting in silence on her own. And realizing she's not empty. She's full of herself. But here's the part no one tells you. This doesn't happen overnight. There will be days when you feel like you're going backward. Days when the grief hits fresh, like it just happened. Days when you question everything, including yourself. Maybe a song comes on that takes you right back to a memory you thought you'd processed. Maybe you smell something that reminds you of him, and suddenly you can't breathe. Maybe you have a good week, and then one morning you wake up and the weight is heavier than ever. That's not failure. That's healing. Healing isn't a straight line. It's a spiral. You revisit the same pain, but each time from a slightly different place. Each time with a little more understanding. Each time with a little more strength. So when the hard days come, and they will, don't take it as a sign that you're broken. Take it as a sign that you're still healing. And healing takes time. There's no deadline. There's no right pace. There's only your pace. And that's the only one that matters. Now, I want to talk about something practical. Because philosophy is good, but you also need to survive the actual days. Here's what I've learned from women who rebuilt after loss. First, they stopped waiting for the pain to end before starting to live. This is the trap most people fall into. They think, I'll start taking care of myself when I feel better. I'll start building again when the grief passes. I'll start living when I'm ready. But the pain doesn't fully pass. Not the way you think it will. It transforms. It softens. It becomes something you carry rather than something that carries you. And that transformation happens not by waiting, but by moving. Small movements. Gentle movements, but movements nonetheless. One woman told me, I started by just making my bed every morning. That was all I could manage. But it was something. It was me telling myself, I'm still here. I'm still building something, even if it's just a made bed. Another said, I started walking, just around the block at first. Some mornings I cried the whole way, but it reminded my body that it could still move forward, even when my heart didn't want to. Another said, I started writing just a few sentences each night. Things I was grateful for, things I was feeling. It helped me see that I still had thoughts worth keeping, that my inner world was still alive. None of these are big. None of them sound impressive, but each one is an act of rebuilding, a tiny brick in a new foundation. You don't have to rebuild your whole life today. You just have to lay one brick. Tomorrow, another brick. The day after, another. And one day, you'll look up and realize you've built something new. The second thing these women did, they stopped apologizing for their grief. Some people will want you to move on faster than you're ready. They'll say things like, it's been long enough, or you need to get out more, or he would want you to be happy. And maybe they mean well, maybe they just don't know what else to say. But your grief is not on their timeline. You don't owe anyone a performance of being okay. You don't have to smile to make others comfortable. You don't have to rush your healing because society is impatient. One woman said to me, I stopped going to gatherings where I had to pretend I was fine. Not forever, just until I actually felt closer to fine. I gave myself permission to protect my energy. Another said, I learned to say, I'm not ready for that yet, without explanation. No defense, no justification, just honesty. That's not isolation. That's self-preservation. Take the time you need. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. The third thing these women did might surprise you. They started to forgive themselves. Because here's the secret pain that many women carry after loss: guilt. Guilt for things said and unsaid. Guilt for moments missed. Guilt for not being enough, not doing enough, not knowing enough. Maybe you replay conversations in your head, wishing you had said something different. Maybe you remember arguments and wonder if they mattered more than you realized. Maybe you carry a weight that says, I should have done more. I should have been better. I should have known. This guilt can be crushing. It can keep you stuck in the past even as you try to move forward. But here's the truth. You did what you could with what you knew at the time you knew it. You cannot judge your past self with your present understanding. The woman you were then was doing her best. She was navigating life in real time, without the clarity that only hindsight provides. She made mistakes. Everyone does. She said things she wishes she hadn't. Everyone does. She didn't always get it right. No one does. She deserves your compassion, not your judgment. If you're carrying guilt right now, if there's something you haven't forgiven yourself for, I want you to write it in the comments. Not the details, just the words. I'm letting go. Let this be the moment you start to release it. Now, let's talk about identity. Because this is one of the hardest parts. When you build a life with someone, your identity becomes intertwined with theirs. You're not just you, you're we. You're part of something larger. Your days were shaped by someone else's presence. Your decisions considered someone else's needs. Your future was imagined with someone else in it. And when that's gone, there's a terrifying question that appears. Who am I now? You were a wife, a partner, someone's person, and now the labels don't fit the same way. This is disorienting. It can feel like standing in a room with no walls, no floor, no ceiling, nothing to hold on to. But here's what I want you to see. This is also an opportunity. A painful one, yes. An unwanted one, absolutely. But an opportunity nonetheless. Because for the first time in a long time, you get to ask yourself, what do I want? Not what does the relationship need? Not what would make him happy? Not what's expected of me? What do I want? Maybe you don't know yet, and that's okay. The knowing comes slowly. It comes from trying things, from paying attention to what makes you feel alive, from noticing what drains you and what fills you. You might discover that you love things you never tried because there wasn't room for them before. You might discover that some things you thought you loved were really just habits. You might discover that the woman underneath all those roles is someone you actually like. You get to rediscover yourself, not as half of something, as the whole that you've always been. There's something else that happens to women who walk this path. They develop a strength that others can sense but can't quite name. It's not loud. It's not aggressive. It's not the kind of strength that announces itself. It's quiet, grounded, unshakable. It's the strength of a woman who has faced her deepest fear and survived, who has sat alone with her pain and didn't run, who has rebuilt her life from nothing and knows she can do it again if she has to. People notice this kind of strength. They might not know what they're seeing, but they feel it. They see a woman who walks differently, who speaks differently, who carries herself with a quiet confidence that wasn't there before. That strength doesn't come from avoiding suffering. It comes from walking through it. I once heard a woman describe it like this. She said, "Before this happened, I thought I was strong. I had handled hard things. I had faced challenges. But this showed me a strength I didn't know existed. A strength that only comes when you have no other choice but to survive." She wasn't grateful for the pain. No one asked for this, but she recognized what it built inside her, a foundation that nothing could shake. And you are building that same foundation right now. Every day you get up, every night you make it through, every breath you take in that quiet house. That's strength, even when it doesn't feel like it. I want you to think about something. 1 year from now, where will you be? The pain won't be gone, but it will be different. You won't be the same woman you are today. You will have grown in ways you can't imagine yet. You might have discovered new passions. You might have built new friendships. You might have found a peace you didn't know was possible. Or you might just be a little more okay than you are today. And that would be enough. That would be everything. The time is going to pass anyway. The question is not whether you'll survive it. You will. The question is whether you'll use it to become someone you're proud of. Someone who didn't just endure, but evolved. Someone who took the worst chapter of her life and wrote a new story from the ashes. That woman exists inside you. She's waiting to be remembered. So here's where we are. You've been through something that would break most people, and you're still here, still breathing. still listening, still hoping, even when hope feels foolish. That's not nothing. That's everything. The path forward won't be easy. There will be nights that feel endless, mornings that feel impossible, moments when you question if you can keep going. But you can, not because you're superhuman, but because you're human. And humans are built to heal. You will find yourself again. You will rebuild. You will discover that the love you gave so freely to others can be given to yourself. You will wake up one morning and realize the weight is a little lighter. Not gone, but lighter. You will catch yourself laughing at something and notice that the guilt of laughing doesn't come this time. You will make a decision without second guessing and feel something you haven't felt in a long time. Trust in yourself. These moments will come, small at first, scattered, easy to miss, but they will come. And one day, maybe not soon, but one day, you will look back at this season and say, that's when I became who I was meant to be. Stay strong is less than #. 5# is greater than, not in the way the world means it, not in the way that pretends you're not hurting. Stay strong in the way that says, I will allow myself to grieve, and I will also allow myself to grow. Both can be true at the same time. You are not alone, even when you feel alone. You are not broken. Even when you feel shattered, you are not done. You're just beginning. And somewhere out there, right now, there are other women watching this same message. Women who understand. Women who are walking the same path. Women who are silently nodding because they know you are part of something bigger than you realize. A sisterhood of strength. A community of women who have faced the fire and are still standing. Remember that when the nights feel long? If this message found you at the right moment, if something in you needed to hear this today, I want you to save this video. Come back to it when the nights get heavy. Let these words remind you of who you are when you forget. Now, there's something I want to leave you with. As you rebuild, as you find yourself again, as you learn to stand on your own, there's one thing that might still hold you back. The past. The memories. The regrets. The things you wish you could change but can't. Rebuilding your life is one journey, but forgiving yourself for the past, that's another, and they're connected. Because you can build a new life, but if you're still carrying the weight of old guilt, old shame, old things you can't let go of, the new life will always feel heavier than it should. There's a version of freedom that goes beyond just surviving. It's the freedom that comes when you finally release what's been holding you back. When you stop punishing yourself for being human, when you let go of the weight you were never meant to carry. That's what I want to talk about next. The video is called How to Forgive Yourself When You Can't Let Go of the Past. It's for the woman who has done the work of surviving, but still carries wounds she hasn't healed. The woman who knows she needs to let go, but doesn't know how. The woman who is ready to be free, truly free from the weight of yesterday. If that's you, if you're ready for that conversation, it's already waiting. You've made it this far. Keep going. I'll see you there.